So the objective of this week. So by the end of this discussion, I'm hopeful that you guys will develop your personal leadership definition by understanding who we are as peers and going over true leadership definitions. And what does that exactly mean? It means we're going to discuss how we are as leaders and for ourselves. But it also means that I'm going to show you guys a little bit about some structured textbook leadership and see how that can correlate with who you guys are as leaders and how you can use it to better your leadership style and enhance it as you go through your journey. So I'm going to go ahead and just ask a couple questions out there just to kind of see what you guys think a leadership style might be. So one leadership style I'm about to go over is servant leadership. So the word servant, when you guys think of the word servant, what does that tell you? So Robert, when I tell you this leadership style is called the servant leader, what do you think that means?
I believe that's a leader that's trying to please, and a lot of times that can be blind. I've been a manager before, and you try to go out and you try to please people all the time, and you cater to what their needs are more than what the needs are you're trying to get out of them. I mean, it could be a good thing if it's done with the right person, but as long as you have the right group of people too that don't take advantage of that.
I love it. Everything that you said, Robert, is spot on. Every time you execute a leadership style, it always has to be based on the needs of the people that you're leading. Meaning, when you're going to lead a group of people, a manager goes in there and says, okay, I'm going to lead like this, and they're just going to have to listen. A leader will go in and say, okay, let me observe this team for 30 days, 60 days. I'm not going to implement nothing. I'm not going to do nothing. I'm just going to watch. Learns and then starts leading. So with that in mind, sometimes in roles, a servant leader is exactly what a department needs, right? Like you mentioned. That person is going to go above and beyond for everyone's needs and what they need to execute their jobs flawlessly. They're going to pay attention and listen and be open to all of the feedback that the team needs. This type of thing works where you don't need to be so hands-on. You know, lawyers, for instance, don't need someone to watch them and handhold them. But they do need someone to provide them the things that they need to be successful. So this is one leadership style that is most common in the leadership world. Most people just want to provide people the things that they need to be successful, and that's okay. They also ensure that the path of success, meaning they are in front of their team as much as they are behind them. So as you see your team going and progressing, right? You're going to want to make sure they have a clear path ahead of them for success. Foresee any issues that they may have. Include any trainings. Get prepared. Get ready for what is to come. Because as a leader, like we've discussed, your lens is going to be bigger than the people that follow you. And that's very important within this leadership style. So I appreciate you, Robert, for leading us in that leadership style. So, sorry, I'm a little nervous, you guys.
You're good, man.
Thank you. So, a single mom, I'm going to throw authentic leadership at you. When you hear about the word authentic leadership, what does that mean?
Oh, wow. Authentic leadership. Just from the top of my head, I'm just thinking they're leading just by how they feel. They're not sugarcoating things. They're just giving you like it is. Kind of like raw leadership, not any specific style, but just the person that they are. I have really no idea.
It's okay. That's what I want. And I want you guys to say what comes to the top of your head. Because our goal here is to learn about where we're at and where we're going to expand our mind. So we know what our limitations are when we just think off the top of our head. Where is our mind going? So now we know what you kind of think it is, but let's deep dive into it. So authentic leadership is structured 1000% about who you are and being authentic to your team. Okay? So what does that mean? It means leading with influence. Managers lead with dictation and say, do this, do that. Leaders lead with influence. They perfect crisis and change management. Meaning, when you have a team, your relationship with them is going to be strong with authentic leadership. Because who doesn't love authenticity? As long as you're not being rude, or like we always say, you have to be a kind person to be a leader. You have to be able to have that relationship with them and execute change in crisis moments flawlessly. That's what happens under this leadership style. Most importantly, with authentic leadership, is they pay attention a lot to culture within the department or within their team. What's happening in between the people with you and then with them and each other. So most jobs, you don't really have to pay attention to this. Like, you can't really think of someone at Walmart really caring how these two people interact if they never interact with each other. But with us and what we do, we have to see how our team interacts with one another and how you can positively influence these relationships to help the department. So if I can throw an example out, you're going to have two people in the department that are best friends. And then this other group of people that maybe don't communicate that well. These are the outsiders. The two people on the outside is the out group. The in group, the popular people, the ones that are great, they're just not mixing. It's our job to get them to mix. This is where team outings, this is where team trainings, where you force people to group together and build that culture. Things like that happen under authentic leadership. So I appreciate the single mom for kind of leading us in that one. Authentic leadership, in my opinion, is the second most common leadership style. People want to be that servant. They want to help. People want to be authentic. So we'll go over one, in my opinion, that's a little bit more complex, right? And so this is my leadership style, and it's transformational. So, Hookah, when you think of transformational leadership, off the top of your head, what does that mean?
Maybe a group that kind of like grows together and one of them naturally becomes the leader.
Okay. I would say that that's one function of the leadership style. Transformational leadership definitely lets people rise to their best of their abilities. When you think of transformational leadership, think of it as transforming people. So, with this leadership style, it's someone that likes to sit back and be that resource for someone and be able to not be too hands-on, but always be there. Someone that develops the relationship with their people that they can come in frustrated and it be okay. And they can come in happy and it will be okay. They see learning opportunities and not mistakes, motivations, not limitations. They help the department grow individually and as a team. And they are the person not holding the reins, but pushing people from behind to keep moving. They don't need the spotlight, but they need the success. So with that, these are just some leadership styles that can help you be a better leader. And with the goal of this is I want you guys to feel triggered with anything that I've discussed with these three and say, you know what? I'm kind of that way. Has anyone here heard something that says, you know what? I'm a little like that? And it's okay if you haven't, if you're still digesting. But anybody?
I haven't heard that, but I was going to say when you chose hookah and you were talking about transformational leadership and growing, I thought you were going to talk about herb or something.
That's funny. A single mom? I saw you flashing.
Out of the three, I think of my leadership style as the third, transformational, because I like to observe and let people come to me. It's just like, if they want to develop, yay, great. I'm going to try to help everyone develop as much as possible, but I love trying to get those individuals to grow.
I love that. I saw George and I think ATV and Ladybug. I think I saw you three. So we'll hit George and then ATV.
So I'm just flashing and let you know that it was George, and then it was Whiskey, and then Ladybug, I believe.
Thank you.
When
Alrighty.
what popped out to me when you said transformation leader is actually letting the person
I think is he glitching out for anyone else?
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
No, yes.
Oh, there we go.
As a leader,
George, I apologize. I'm going to have to mute you for a second. We're actually getting some glitches or static on your end.
Robot.
Yeah, you're a robot, George. All right, so maybe come back out and then come back in. Yeah, there we go. All right, we'll head back to him if he comes in, so make sure we snag him when he comes back in. But Whiskey, the floor is yours.
To be honest, I didn't know where you were going when you started this conversation. But I've been in business my whole life, my family and everything else. And you nailed it on a lot of key aspects. For leadership, for me, is I've been on every level of it. I've been in management my whole life. We have a couple successful companies and other things, but it's not standing behind everybody all the time. It's not pulling them up. It's standing beside them, and making sure that they understand that they're equal and their opinions matter and everything else that goes with that. And sorry, I lost train of thought when I was thinking of the robot and all that stuff. But no, I think the leadership comes from making sure that everybody's voice is heard and is important. And I'm not behind you. I'm not above you. I'm not pushing you or pulling you. I'm standing there next to you to make sure that you grow along with us, to make sure that you're just as important as the rest, as partners, as whatever. I think that makes a big difference, because most of this world is either in front of you or behind you, and it's either a competition or a struggle. And our family company has always been, we're equals. We win when you win. So let's work together and make it what it needs to be. And quality over quantity and all the other stuff that goes along with a successful company.
Yeah.
So I understand exactly what you're saying. Well, as I listen to you talk, I want to thank you, and I appreciate it.
I really appreciate you here, Whiskey. You hit a lot of good points. And one of the things my job is, if I'm going to be an effective teacher in this group, is challenging the minds with you. But I agree with everything that we're saying. And we're going to hit right over to you, Ladybug, in just a second. So a lot of us mentioned, these a lot of feelings, right? Like feelings-based leadership is a lot of things. And we all cannot be that type of leader. Not all jobs require that type of leadership. Air traffic control doesn't care about your feelings when lives are on the line. 911 dispatchers don't care about your feelings when lives are on the line. These types of jobs require directive leadership. People that can look at situations and execute solutions instantly. So as we all have these different types of leadership styles, a lot of us are going to fall under this feelings-based leadership. But that is to not dismiss the effectiveness of directed leadership. So with that being said, Ladybug, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So I think mine is definitely the third one, is where I'm leading towards, because if my employees and the people underneath me are successful, then to me that makes me successful. But the second one, the authentic one, that one got me. That one kind of triggered me a little bit.
What made you triggered? What made you triggered? Tell us.
I think because where I work, the culture where I work, for years we've tried to bring all of us together, and we're all so much different personalities and everything. We have not been able to bring everybody together. Everybody's going in their own separate directions.
Culture is one of the biggest reasons why a company can fail. People can love who they work for. People can love the money that they make. But if they hate everything around them in between, they're going to leave. Look at Amazon. Amazon pays competitively in some places. In some places, they do offer good money to people that may or may not have all of the skills they need to be successful in life, but need to earn some sort of income. You can do that at Amazon. But when you deal with all these different types of leaderships and what happens with people, you care about the culture. And that's why Amazon has such a high turnover rate, because the culture there may not be great. People hate who they work for, but they get good benefits. People that work at Amazon have good healthcare. But if you hate the things in between, it's going to drive you out of a company. So we have to care about the culture. One of the things that I want to mention is these are just 3 leadership styles that just kind of resonate with me, that I've seen over my years as being the most common. You're going to find that, I like a little bit of this one. I like a little bit of that one. There is a leadership style called situational leadership, which we'll go over in one of our other weeks. But let's talk about how all of this is going to help you. ATB, do we have anyone that was flashing?
Not that I saw, but I do see Captain Poet hopping in and out. So just out there he is, George.
George.
Let's see if we can give him the floor if he is not a robot.
You hear George?
Hear me okay?
Still
Say
a
again?
robot.
Yeah, you were a robot a second.
You're still breaking up, George.
Yeah, George. All right. So hopefully he can come back. Everyone, let me know, interrupt me if he comes back, so we can get him going on what he wants to say. So how do you develop your own leadership style or definition? Like, at some point, did you ever ask yourself, and I'm asking anyone that wants to answer, and I can also call.
Try George.
Oh, there's George. George.
Can you guys hear me better?
Hey,
Yes, the floor is yours.
Alright, and what I was trying to say was give the person you're watching over their moment to shine, because you never know if they're gonna surprise you or not. And with being a leader, you gotta be able to give every person the opportunity to shine. But if they need your help in any way, whether it's putting a shelf up or trying to help them figure how to show them how to run the register, gotta let them shine. If you don't,
All right, George. Yeah, I agree. You were breaking up part of there, but I was getting a lot what you were saying. I agree. A leader wants to play that active role in being there to assist the people that follow them to be effective in their jobs. And I know we go over effectiveness a lot. It was a huge discussion that we went over last week. So when thinking about yourself as a leader, who are you? When I go and I ask Susie, who works for you, who's been working for you for 5 years, what should Susie tell me? What do you want her to tell me? I want you to be a little self-centered right now and tell me what you want your followers to say about you. When they say, oh, I love working for Sweets, we'll call on you Sweets. I love working for Sweets. She's an amazing leader because. What do you hope they say? That's up to you. Yeah, Sweets.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't want to interrupt. I know how to follow proper etiquette. What I love to hear is the same thing I desire to hear. So it's the same dialogue for me on both. Definition, should I say, excuse me. Someone that can keep their mouth closed and actually listen, and good communication skills with people that I mentor or take a leadership role. So that's key. First and foremost, in my personal belief, being able to take data intel, proper communication. I call it positive, negative, positive form of communication. Positive, like, hey, Frank, thank you for saying that about me, and I appreciate that you called on me. That's freaking amazing. Hey, but you need to do it more often. I would fine tweak that. I would like to hear that more from your mouth to other people. I'm just making up some BS, just letting you know, Frank, because you're not like that. And then come back with a positive. Oh, hey, the whole ACE movement that you and Red Queen and ATB have started is freaking amazing. I'm so proud of all of y'all. So it's positive, negative, positive. So the positive would be coming back and letting them know something that they said to let them know that you heard them. Negative, what you want to address, and leaving them with a positive affirmation of what you value or what they improved on. So that would be the first and foremost. As a leader, I would love for people to say about me, first and foremost. Secondly, that I don't deal with drama, that I kind of stay away from it. I'm here to build people up, not to break them down. So those would be my two top things that I would desire for people to say about me.
Beautiful. Everyone develops their leadership style, I think, through the journeys of themselves. When you go through this journey that we call life, and I'll call on the flashers in just a second, I, for one, definitely like to look at myself in the mirror and often ask myself who I am, to flush out everything that I see and am feeling. Because I want to be able to look at myself and say, I know the best of me and I lead with the best of me. And I do that daily to make sure that I'm always accountable for myself. So I appreciate you being so on it with and so detailed with what you want from your following. Because as we have these wants, how are we going to get them? How are we going to achieve this? And your leadership definition and your leadership style is going to help you get to those goals, to get your following to say those things and make them feel the way that you want them to feel. These types of things are to help assist you along that journey. So, ATB, did we have a list going? I know I saw a single mom flashing, but did we have a
I saw a single mom, and I thought I saw one other person below her, but I wasn't sure. Maybe.
All right.
I don't want to interrupt.
So, go ahead.
I have to walk away for a minute, but I really appreciate this right here, and I want to have a little more to do with it. But I have somewhere to run real quick, so I want to thank you guys because this is a conversation that I think is a conversation, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate you. We're here every Monday. With that, real quick, a single mom. Queen, can you just go over the rules again so everyone has the resources they need before we go in the second half?
Absolutely. Number 1, make sure to go to weeklyleaders.com and look at this week's worksheet. Number 2, make sure to keep your mic muted when not speaking. Make sure to flash your mic when you have something to say. ATP will call on you to speak. Just a reminder, this is a guided discussion. There is no wrong answer to leadership. Number 3, the expectation is your behavior in and out of weekly leaders will always be professional. Number 4, as a final reminder, share out the radio. Gifts sent to the host are always appreciated.
Thank you. So, a single mom, the floor is yours.
So the type of things I'd like for people to say to me, if I was their leader, is that for them to say, "Oh my gosh, Sharon is a great leader because she's always asking me if I want to do more stuff. What can I learn? What, their development. Like she's always having me develop into these other areas that I'm interested in. And she's always, that proactive person for me, volunteering me for things and just making sure that I keep on learning, because I think that's because I'm a mom and I had to do that with my kids, like constantly teaching them things. And I think that's why I want other people to learn, because once they feel like they have so much more control over, different areas of their job, they feel more valuable. And I want people to feel valuable, not just to me as a team leader, but to a company or wherever they work.
You speak a lot about people's development, which is why I love that you picked or you mentioned, transformational leadership resonated with you, because that's a lot of it in there. And one of the examples I can use is the Savage Games. So because I'm a transformational leader, I want people to level up their content as much as I can, or as much as they can. And I always try to motivate people to do that. And so one way we were extremely effective was the Savage Games, putting people in a competition mode, a friendly competition mode, where people were helping one another and leveling up. People's content transformed forever because of that competition. And being transformational doesn't necessarily have to be, I just want people to become better. It's also how you get there. Being creative with the team that follows you and what works for them. Everyone's going to throw out, just throw a training in there with some cupcakes and rainbows and some PowerPoint and you'll be fine. But does that really work for the team that you're leading? That's a question you have to ask, and be creative in how you build these relationships and transform people. So what about you, Rebel? When you think of your leadership style and the people that follow you, what would you want them to say about you? If I was to ask one of your followers, what would they say?
I would hope they would say that I was motivating them, because that's what I want to do. I want to help motivate people. I know what it feels like to want to do something, but yet I don't know how to get from point A to point B. I need someone to fill in that gap. And I think as a leader, we need to do that. We need to, because not everybody is going to be a self-starter. Not everybody is going to know how to get to the next point. And as leaders, we need to recognize that and just, in a positive way, just motivate them and be encouraging and show them different ways to achieve the same end goal. So yeah, just being motivated, motivational and positive and helpful, just being to help them be the best versions of themselves that they can be.
I love that. The reason I asked this question, and we'll head to the flashers in just 1 second. It's so funny I say flashers. It's just so funny. The reason I asked this question is because that's an easy way to start your leadership definition. So when you're sitting there at a blank piece of paper, right, tapping your pen, not knowing what to do or say, right? That's a good way to start. Write those things down. What do you want your follower to say about you when we ask them? Because that's going to start you on your journey to your leadership style, to how you're going to be effective. Those things trickle down to the things that we'll go over, such as your change management structure, your ethical framework. All of these things will refine you in your leadership and make you even more effective. And who doesn't love a higher paycheck for getting more effective? So I appreciate all of your guys' feedback in this and teaching me as well. So I think, Sweets, you were...
Yes, sir. I want to touch on what you just said, if I may, and I'll make it short and sweet, and also what Rebel Dawn also said, and I'll make her short and sweet. To tag on to what she said, I would like to add a sentence structure to hers, which would be, there are different ways of teaching. A good leader knows those different ways and how to break them down to figure out what way is a good way to show someone a new skill or to bring their skill form to the forefront. Different ways of teaching, and knowing how to do that is the key on that. To touch what you said, I just love that y'all are doing this, and this is the first time that I was able to get into the program. So please do continue with the YouTube, because glitches are real, and some of us depended on that form. Just want to throw that out there. Much love to all of y'all.
I appreciate you. Yeah, the YouTube's fun. I know everyone can't be here. It's night school, so it's nice for people to be able to listen in their car or, in the shower, whatever it is that they're doing in the background. But ATB, did we have anyone on the list?
Not that I saw.
No worries. So, when you ask yourself this question, right? And now you have this list of, let's say, 10 to 12 things that you want your follower to say. Now you got to figure out how you're going to execute this, right? I mean, it's nice to say, okay, this is what we want them to say, but now it's our job to achieve that. And how are we going to get there? A lot of us can't answer that question. I couldn't answer it at one time. I didn't know. But the first step that I took was, what was my morals and foundation? What was my morals? What was my values? What's important to me as a leader? Because that's going to lay down the framework and your foundation to your journey of a leader. As soon as you have your foundation, you can build upon that. What is not going to change is you as a leader. Because we all have those things that are just, non-negotiables. I am a respectful leader. I will never change that. I am someone that gets straight to the point. I will never change that. What is that foundation? Who cares what anyone's opinions are? But what is your foundation? Once you have that, you can build upon it. So while you guys are here, we are always going to assign a little bit of homework with these weeks. The worksheet is to help get you ready for what that week is going to come. These are the types of questions we're going to ask. This is the things we're going to go over. Nothing too abrasive. Over the next 7 days, 6 days, I would love people to just post a video and saying, you know what? This is my leadership definition. And I want you to save that video and post it. Post that video, save the link. Because at the end of this week, at the end of these 10 weeks, at the end of these 9 weeks, I want you to go to that page or go to that video and see if you've changed. See, has your definition changed? Hashtag it weekly leaders, because you want to see your growth. You want to see, okay, that's what I thought it was. Now that I've learned all this, now that I've enhanced all these skills and heard all of these things, is there anything that I would change about that? So develop your leadership definition. Nothing fancy, nothing too in-depth, just off the cuff. What is it? Let's document this journey together. Tag me, tag the crew. We'll definitely want to see those, and maybe put it on the website if you'd like. But now that you've built this, now that you're asking yourself all of these questions, right? Now that you're going along this journey, how do you fully build out that definition? How do you fully deep dive into it now that you have your basic foundation of it? On your worksheet, I included the common leadership styles picture. And some of those that we haven't discussed, you'll see, like, we discussed servant and authentic. Those are on there, right? And transformational. Those are all on there. But we didn't go over visionary. We didn't go over transactional. We didn't go over any of the other ones besides those 3. And so I want you to look at that picture and look at the light definitions and say, you know what? This one seems interesting. I like the name of this one. I'm going to Google it. And that's where your journey of in-depth of your leadership style will start. Just wanting to deep dive into something just a little bit more because it resonated with you. That will start your avalanche. That will get your leadership style going. And if you keep it going, you will fully develop your leadership definition, and you will fully get into your leadership style, and you will keep constantly challenging yourself. Most importantly, you'll want to embrace the other leadership styles, because at some point you may need to shift as a leader for the moment, and that's okay. Because you may need to fill in for someone that is a certain way with their team for a little while. Are you going to fail in that moment because you didn't know something? Or you say, you know what? I remember reading something about that. Or I remember learning something about this because of the way these people are behaving. And adding things to your tool belt is absolutely necessary. So deep dive into yours while just skimming over the rest, because that will help you in your leadership definition and determine your style. So, how complex do we want this leadership style to be? So, I'm going to ask, let's say, Bella, if you don't mind. When you think of a leadership definition, how in depth do you want a leadership definition to go, if you don't mind? Like, how in depth do you see your style going? I don't know how long you were here for, by the way.
I literally just came in. I'm sorry. What did you say? My
Oh,
kid
my
was
bad.
talking
No,
to
you're
me.
totally good. My bad. Okay. All right. So, ATB, when you think of your leadership definition, do you think of it being this whole long paragraph, or do you think you're more of a simple leader? Where do you fall on that spectrum?
I definitely think I'm more of a simple leader. I think I resonate more with a transformative leadership style. Just because I feel like that's the type of leaders that I've had in my life. So honestly, that's really all I have to base real world experience off of. But I love learning about the other ones to
We'll get you in just a second, Tyler. What is this? Gan? Is that your name?
Yeah, man. Hey, look, man, my leadership skills is, man, using your hands, like you've got to know how to figure things out and lead and figure it out, sit and think about it. You just make everything positive. Don't never make anything negative. It's like you just keep straight ahead. Never get too distracted on many things, or you'll end up with another task you got to do when you got to finish one task. You can't start one task and then keep going. That's my leadership. You got to figure things out. You got to sit and think. Sit and think on it for a minute.
I would say coaching falls big in a lot of the things that you said. Coaching is a leadership style. Everyone wants, people can be that coach, that person that pushes you towards things. And I would definitely challenge you to maybe think about that leadership style, maybe in the car. Just think about it, maybe.
All right.
Sorry, I was clicking on too many buttons. Alrighty, so I believe, Tyler, you were flashing, right?
Yes. What was the question again?
So we're just hopping around the room. Yeah, so we're just talking about our own leadership definitions and stuff. So, yeah. Did you want to answer, or do you? Yeah, so that's kind of what we were talking about this whole.
My leadership is like an advertisement leadership, like give all the ads to see what's on the radio and stuff like that. But
that's more of like a supportive leader, right? And
yeah, I would say that's supportive leadership.
Yes, and supportive, like why do we support people, like all the creators and the leadership or others?
Why do we do it?
That's my question.
Well, I like supporting people because I like to see them do good. And no matter who you are, I'm going to try and support you in a way that's best. And I know we all wish we could support more people, but for me, that's kind of why I support people, whether they be in leadership positions or not. I want everyone to succeed, and in my life, if I don't have to be the richest man in the world, I would love to be rich in knowing that I helped many people become who they want to be in this world. So I would say that that's why. So yeah, thank you so much, Sweets. I appreciate the gifts. So just to kind of touch base on this, what makes a definition is what's true to you. It doesn't have to be anything more or less fancy than that. It could be as long or as short as you need it to be, but it's what's true to you. How complex you want it to be is up to you. Your leadership definition is 150,000% up to you. And the reason I say this is because everyone thinks like, oh, I have to lead it this way because this is the way people want me to lead. Yeah, that works in a lot of situations. But in many more situations, you're tasked as a leader just to get a job done. And you can do that. And how do you do that? It's going to determine whether or not you're a manager or a leader. And those two are really important to define the line, which we'll go over next week. So with that, I can turn it to Tyler so he can go over the radios that go on this week. But before we do that, I'm going to ask anyone here, is there a list before?
Not that I noticed, but people may be like waiting for an opportunity. So if anybody wants to speak, go ahead and flash your mic and I'll put a list together.
Yeah. I appreciate you all for coming. I definitely learned a lot and I'm trying to get over my nerves here just a tiny bit, but I hope we kind of discussed a little bit of the objective and you guys have been able to leave here with, developing your personal leadership definition by understanding who we are as peers and going over true leadership definitions. So I hope that that's something we were able to achieve.
We had Ladybug flashing, and then
Ladybug?
I don't know if we can hear you, sweetie.
Yeah, I don't think we can.
Uh-oh.
Okay, she's probably going to come back. We'll give her a second. So just real quick, ATB, do you feel comfortable maybe in the next 7 days or 6 days thinking about your leadership style or your leadership definition?
Absolutely. I think maybe I'm kind of in a little bit more of a better position than some people in here because I'm also tag teaming this with school for business and leadership. So I will be taking some other leadership classes alongside with this and hopefully be able to bring some of that over and bring some of this over there. So absolutely, I feel like I'll be very prepared within the next.
What about you, Hookah? Do you feel that you maybe be able to think of what your leadership definition might be?
Yeah, so I'm in a transformational spot. I was very rigid management with nursing and medical stuff, and now transferring to more of the softer sides of things, the feeling part of things is where I need to kind of like develop my skills now. If that makes sense.
It does. Definitely. Ladybug, I see that you're back. You were flashing?
Yes, I was just going to say real quick that to me, a leadership definition kind of seems more like a mission statement, or the starting of a mission statement. That's just my...
I agree. Of course. A mission statement is... So you think of a business mission statement. What is it that the business is there to execute, right? Why are they there? So basically what you're doing right now is fleshing out the type of leader you are and why you are the way that you are. So I agree. Those are very, very similar. So I'm excited to see, what, simple or in-depth definitions we come up with within the next couple days, 6 days or so. Don't feel too obligated. Don't feel pressure. The whole objective here is to watch people learn and learn from each other and, clap in and be a part of where the parts that you can influence, because we are all here for leadership, and we all are leaders. And I think it's very important that's why I don't remove people's mics, because I want people to be leaders in here. And as a leader, in my opinion, for me and my style, we are all equal in here. And that's why I like everyone having a mic in here. And that's why I like everyone being up here influencing and talking, because we are all equal. So I really hope you guys go to weeklyleaders.com. Week 2's worksheet is already there for you. So just check it over. Get ready for next week, and see the things that we're going to go over. But I appreciate every single one of you guys for joining this evening. And I know it's late. It's night school.